In this video, I'm going to go through some different multiplication properties of exponents. Actually, pretty much just two of them. Alright, the first one is if you have the base of x and you're multiplying it by another base of x. So what we have here is we have multiplying of the same base. Our exponent property tells us that we will keep our same base of x, and then what we're going to do as a shortcut is we are going to add those two exponents together. So 3 plus 8 is equal to 11. So we have x to the 11th power. So if you are multiplying the same base, you will add your exponents. Alright, this next example, if you notice, we don't have two bases of this m, you just have this m. It's being raised to the third power, and the whole thing is being raised to the fifth power. This is what we call the power of a power property. So when you have this, and pretty much every time, your parentheses right here are a dead giveaway that this is what we're going to do. You are going to keep your base of m, and look at those two exponents and multiply those together. So we'll take 3 times 5, and we will get 15. And where that comes from, if you think about having m to the third power, and if you're raising it to the fifth power, that means you have 5 of them. So I could write this out 5 times, what is that, 4 times 5. And so what we have is an m cubed, another m cubed, another, and if you think about how many total m's we're multiplying right here, we would say that there's 15. So our property just allows us to shortcut through that. So parentheses, and you have a power to a power, we will multiply those exponents. Alright, moving down to the next row. Not again, but here we have our set of parentheses, so we know we'll end up with our power of a power property because of that 2 on the outside. When you do have an exponent on the outside of your set of parentheses, we need to remember that it goes into every single base on the inside. It's kind of like distributing, so that 4 is going to get squared. And then the other base on the inside, that x to the negative 3, that is also going to get squared. And then we just simplify one base at a time. So 4 squared is 16. And then here's that power of a power property. X to the negative 3 raised to the second power. We will multiply those exponents together. So we have x to the negative 6th power. It's kind of hard to see. And then we might think we're done and we can move on, but you never want to leave a negative exponent in your problem. So the last thing that we're going to do is we are going to take that x to the negative 6. Anytime you have a negative exponent, it moves. It's going to go down to the bottom. So the 16 didn't have the negative exponent. The 16 stays. And instead of being x to the negative 6, it becomes x to the positive 6. And then that one is done. Alright, our next example. Here we have a set of parentheses. And oftentimes, when I see parentheses, I want to keep in mind order of operations. If there's anything I can do inside the parentheses to simplify this expression, I want to do that first. And you can see that we have a d being multiplied by a d. So when you're multiplying the same base, so we're just simplifying the inside right now. When you're multiplying the same base, you will keep your base of d, and we are going to add those exponents. So 4 plus a negative 2 is 2. Well, that was inside the parentheses. It's still being raised to the 5th power. And now we have d squared to the 5th power. And when you have your power to a power, we multiply our exponents. So we're going to end up with d to the 10th. And that will be our final answer on that one. Alright, bottom row. Let me see. Oh good, I can move that up. Alright, so down here we are multiplying two sets of parentheses together. First thing that I want to look for and make sure I'm paying attention to the details is there an exponent on the outside of either set of parentheses? If we look to the right, do you see how there's a cubed right there? So look for that. That would be the first thing we'd have to do to simplify. But this first example does not have that. So we're ready to just multiply together what goes together. So first we have the 9, and I can see that the 9 should be multiplied with the 2. That's just kind of what makes sense. So we'll go ahead and multiply those and get 18. And now we have an x cubed times an x. So you're going to multiply the same bases together. Well, here we're multiplying the same base, and when you're multiplying the same base, you add your exponents. You get an x cubed and an x to the first power, so that becomes x to the fourth. And then our last one, we have y to the negative 4 times y cubed. Multiplying the same base, add your exponents. A negative 4 plus 3 is a negative 1. And then we think we're done, but then we say, oh no, can't leave that negative exponent. So that y to the negative 1, that's the only exponent that's negative, that's going to go down to the bottom. So in the end, the 18 and the x to the fourth stay above, and then the y goes down. And now it's y to the positive first power, but I'll just leave it as y, because y to the first and y are the same thing. Alright, last example. I pointed out on the last one how you didn't have an exponent on the outside. In this case, we do have this cubed on the outside. We are going to want to deal with that first. If you notice, the cubed is only with that second set of parentheses right here. And so anytime that you have an exponent on the outside of your parentheses, you're going to bring it in. It's going to go into every base, to the 3, to the c, and to the d. So I'm just going to rewrite this. 3 to the third power is 27. Now that c to the fourth, I'll write it off to the side, c to the fourth, when that gets cubed, we're going to multiply those exponents. So we'll have c to the 12th. And then when your cubed goes into the d, you're going to multiply those exponents also. So you're going to have d to the 6th power. I'm going to put that back in parentheses because that is still being multiplied by that first set of parentheses. That negative 2c d to the 5th. So starting to get a little sloppy looking, but alright, so now we're going to multiply the things that go together. The negative 2 and the 27 give us a negative 54. And then we have a c times a c to the 12th, and we get c to the 13th power. That's my dog whining in case you can hear it. And then your d to the 5th times d to the 6th, multiplying the same base, add your exponents. So 5 plus 6 is 11. And that one is simplified.